Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I am officially back here on F4W Online to continue doing my Speak Now Pro Wrestling shows. As you guys all know, I was gone for an entire week because I was off on the honeymoon. And let me tell you something. I had a lot of FOMO while I was gone. I had a lot of like, man, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. And I got to tell you, I'm super thankful that I didn't miss today's episode of Dynamite because we legitimately had a pretty damn good show. Like, you know, I was expecting a decent show for the most part, but I don't think I was expecting all that we got here tonight. We got 3 really great matches. On top of that, we got a couple of surprises. We got several announcements. I mean, this was literally a sub with all of the fixings in it because there is a lot to kind of unpack and talk about here today. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I do want to let you guys know that this is a very interactive podcast. If you're new here, please take part in the chat. I always read people's comments and we engage. It's really fun. If you are not new here, then you guys already know the drill. If you want to make sure your questions, comments, or statements get read on this show, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, I will read your comment. And F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds after YouTube takes their cuts. And they help me. They very much help me stay afloat on these shows. So please do, if you would like, send in a super chat. But I'm excited, guys. Not only am I back, but I'm excited to talk about this show because, like I said, it was a pretty good one. And I'm going to go in a nice, chronological format legitimately just because there's too much to kind of go over here. But first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and kick things off with our first super chat of the night. And this is from Uriel Landeros. Thank you so much to Uriel, who says, what a show. I'm super late for the money dance, Denise, but congratulations to you and the husband and glad to have you back. Pero tienes que pronunciar el nombre en español, por favor, claro. Thank you so much to Uriel for sending this in. I appreciate you sending in this very generous super chat. And let's get to it, man. Let's get this show on the road here. We're going to kick things off with, unfortunately, a match that a couple of people on Fight TV, or those that were watching on Fight TV, unfortunately missed the first couple of minutes. I saw on my Twitter feed that those that were watching on Fight, apparently they missed the first couple of minutes of this match. And I got to tell you, I'm really sorry that you guys did. That really fucking sucks because this was a great match. It was a lot of fun and it got started fast and hot. And within like 3 minutes, I think it was like 5:03, and I'm pretty sure my shows that like what I watch on Sling, it's usually like 30 seconds in delay. Within like by 5:03, we already had like blood going and the momentum and like was just like on. So I'm really sorry if you did not get to watch the first couple of minutes of this match, but don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and break down a little bit about what actually occurred during this. So first and foremost, the match that I'm talking about is Brody King versus Darby Allin for the Coffin match. And this was one of the matches that I was really looking forward to because, you know, matches like this are always really fun to see, especially when you have Darby in it, because we know that Darby is willing to do like all of these crazy, crazy stuff, right? Like the guy's not afraid to take these crazy ass bumps, right? Like you see this stuff. He's an exciting guy to watch. On top of that, we've seen Brody King, Darby Allin before, and it didn't necessarily go the way that a lot of us thought was going to go. I remember talking about that match when it first happened, 2 weeks ago? And kind of being surprised by how dominant Brody King came in there and ended up defeating Darby. Like that was a whole lot to take in. So going into this match, I'm like, okay, like there's no way Darby's going to lose this Coffin match. Like that's not going to happen. But either way, it kind of just, that didn't take away from the actual match itself. So Brody came out, he had the face paint going, looked really cool. And just before I can get like a second of actually marking out for the face paint, immediately Darby goes right in for the attack. So this is what you guys kind of missed in the first couple of minutes is Darby essentially, he had the skateboard with the thumbtacks and he goes in and he quickly bust open Brody King. And so instantly, like I said, we were getting the blood going. The blood was flowing. And Brody ends up taking the skateboard from Darby Allin and smashes it. So that was pretty cool to kind of see him like cut the skateboard in half, break it in half and whatnot. But here's the thing that I really loved, because we kind of got like the violence going really fast, right? We got the blood going really fast. But then instantly, we end up getting this avalanche code red from Darby Allin. And let me tell you, just like the way that it was all set up leading up into that point, it kind of felt like a oh shoot moment. So I really liked that. There was another moment at the top of this match that I kind of liked, even though it was very simple. It was legitimately just Brody King tossing Darby Allin through the barricade. But the reason that I liked it a little bit more is because Darby kind of went through the barricade in a Darby Allin fashion. He literally, his back just like hit right into the railing, so it looked really freaking sick. And he just like went backwards. Like, go back and watch that in slow motion, and it looks a lot sicker than just if I were to say, oh, he tossed him through the barricade. Like, go back and relook at that in slow motion, because it looked kind of super sick here. So anyways, after this, we got a table spot. We got Brody is trying to do a splash onto Darby Allin, but Darby Allin moves out of the way, so Brody just goes straight to the table, and then we get the lights out. Now, I've talked about this on plenty of shows before, but I've gotten to the point where I get a little bit of anxiety now when the lights go down. Ever since the Satnam Singh debut, I now get like anxiety whenever the lights go out. But this one was a little bit different because, and I've been saying like I'm done with the lights out thing, but it's different in this situation because we knew that, or a lot of us were expecting it to be House of Black, because obviously that's part of their presentation. That's part of what they do and how they show up when they show up. So in this case, it's fine. So I thought, okay, it's either going to be Sting or the House of Black, which either one, the lights out thing definitely works in this situation, right? With this presentation of it all. So it ended up being the House of Black. And during this, we finally get Julia Hart, who we know is now aligned with the House of Black. And she ends up getting involved in this. And I kind of loved it because even though we've, recently seen her join the House of Black, she kind of has had little, her role hasn't been that big just yet. And I think today was the day that we kind of saw her do a little bit more than what we're used to. So she kind of takes out Darby. She sweeps the leg. Darby falls down, and this allows the House of Black to basically attack Darby Allin. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh shit, like this is how Darby Allin is going to lose. Like, I legitimately thought with the involvement of the House of Black that it was done for Darby Allin. But after this, Buddy Matthews ends up going on the outside, and out of the coffin comes out Sting. And so Sting comes out of nowhere, and he essentially ends up helping out Darby there. And I got to tell you, I loved two things from this. And the two things that I loved for the finish of this was, one, obviously this little stare down between Malachi Black and Sting. I thought that was really freaking cool. But also just the way that Darby choked out Brody King with the chain. And because it kind of looked like, the guy is hanging. And it was also shades of what he did to him in their last match that they had. So we kind of got to see that again here tonight with the choking. And it kind of looks like, it's a very scary, morbid look because he's kind of just hanging there, and you get like these terrible images floating through your head. But either way, for what this match is and who they are and what they're doing, it kind of works here. So he ends up hanging him by the chain, and this allows Brody King to kind of fall out, and he just falls smack right into the coffin. Really good timing on that, and really good just like the execution of that was good, because sometimes we see stuff like that and you see the person trying to make it into the coffin, or you see the person trying to get to the where they're supposed to be, and this one kind of flowed really nicely. So this was good too. I really thought that this was a very fun way to kick off the show here. And now Darby Allin is undefeated in these coffin matches in AEW. He has defeated Ethan Page, Andrade El Idolo, and now also adding Brody King here. So he is the coffin match guy. All right, so let's get some thoughts here, guys. What did you think of Brody King, Darby Allin? Go ahead and let me know here today. Let's see, we got a super chat here from Hagen. Thank you so much to Hagen, who says, TK got Denise 2 bloodbath matches as a wedding present. All right, so for those of you who are like, what's Hagen talking about? I'm all about the blood. I'm all about these types of matches. And yeah, I was very, very pleased with the amount of blood that I saw on today's show. So thank you so much to Hagen for giving us a little laugh here. I appreciate that. All right, there was somebody else I wanted to get their comments because we had more people pointing out. Yeah, here we go. This one's from Timothy Page, who says, with a believable finish given the size difference. I think that was one of the things that this finish for this match, like I said, it could have been sloppy, it could have looked off, but the way that it was executed, it ended up working out very, very smoothly. So I completely agree with that. Timothy Page also adds, I took a female friend to an AEW show and she loved Darby. I was like, he's married, and she was like, I don't care, I'm taking him home with me. Darby is a very popular person in terms of, like, you know, kids like him, he's cool, you know, that sort of thing. I think it's easy to like a persona like Darby Allin because he does cool shit, he looks cool, and just all of that stuff is, you know, pretty awesome to see. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. If you guys have any more comments, I'm gonna pull up a couple more because I'm seeing several comments in regards to this match here. Let's pull this one up from Lenny, who says, it started with Brody choking out Darby and letting the body drop. It ends with Darby doing it to Brody and his body falling in the coffin with the door slamming shut. Exactly what I mentioned earlier, you know, us having seen it in their first encounter and now seeing it here. So I do like little things like that, you know, tie things into what you'd seen previously. So good stuff all around there. All right, let's get some more comments. This one is from Justin, who says, for a while it looked like Darby was going to die before Sting even evens out the odds. If Darby was going to win this match, that was a well-booked way to get there. Exactly, because I legitimately fell for, you know, when House of Black came in and essentially attacked it, like beating on him, and, you know, it was one guy against multiple guys. I mean, it felt like a pretty safe way to be like, okay, we're gonna have Darby lose again in this match, and then it didn't happen. So I'm really glad the way that they did this, especially because I wasn't expecting Sting the way that he came in out of nowhere through the coffin. I wasn't expecting it to come down that way, and it was pretty freaking hilarious too, because it was kind of spooky because he was just like bang, and he was there. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and continue on with the show. As a reminder, for those of you guys who are new to the show, if you do want to help me out, you do want to help support the show, feel free to send in a super chat and I will make sure to read your question, comment, or statement on the stream, on the air. All right, so there's a lot to talk about, guys. All right, here we go. The next thing that we need to talk about is the House of the Dragon. Now, some of you are like, for those of you who didn't watch Dynamite, are like, what the hell is she talking about? So we saw AEW recently do a Shark Week integration on Fyter Fest, where they, you know, incorporated Shark Week and this and that. Now, it throughout like all of entertainment and pop culture stuff, you see a lot of, you know, crossovers, you see integrations, you see, you know, companies finding ways to promote, you know, movies or TV shows, you know, all of that stuff. So it's a good way to make a nice little chunk of money and just, you know, have cool different things, like theme things in a different way. So anyways, they officially announced the House of the Dragon. Now, that's essentially a presentation from HBO and Game of Thrones. Now, I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I've heard nothing but great things about Game of Thrones. And so I know that it is a very, very popular show. And so for the fact that they're doing the House of the Dragon, it sounds cool. It looks cool. And we know that Game of Thrones has a very, very wide fan base. So, there's going to be a huge crossover with a lot of wrestling fans that are, maybe fans of Game of Thrones. So I really like that they're doing this, partnership, this collaboration, because it's just like, why the hell not? That's something popular. Go ahead and do it. So anyways, that's going to be taking place on August 17th. We do have a couple matches that were already announced for that show. We have the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament, and that's going to lead me to talk about that in just a second. But anyways, we are going to be getting Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee taking on the Young Bucks and a mystery opponent. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Tony Storm and Kylan King has been announced for that, and a best 2 out of 3 falls between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. Again, we'll talk about all of that in just a second, but that's what's been announced for the House of the Dragon show. Presented by HBO and Game of Thrones. I see a lot of people are like, shame on you. You need to watch Game of Thrones. I know that I need to watch it because my favorite Taylor Swift album, Reputation, had some Game of Thrones inspiration. And I know Taylor's a big fan. And well, for those of you who do not know, this podcast is actually named after Taylor Swift's album, Speak Now. And here we have Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Fun fact. Anyways, moving on from here. I mentioned the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament. And we've talked, they made the announcement a couple weeks ago. So now we officially have the tournament bracket. And by God, everybody, I forgot to import it. So give me 1 second to import this bracket because I need to visually see it so that I can talk about it. But there's a lot to talk about here because they teased the return of Kenny Omega. And right now, that is the front runner, very, very much so the front runner of who we think is going to be returning. So let's pull up this bracket here. So the bracket that we have here shows the entire tournament here. On the left side of the bracket, we have Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. That is going to be pretty freaking great. And for the sake of a match that I want to see, I have a feeling we're going to see Will Ospreay and Aussie Open continue on here. We also have Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Rush versus the Young Bucks and a mystery partner here. And we mentioned that this match is going to be happening next week. And also, you should know that, the people that were assumed to be the mystery partner was either going to be Hangman Page or Kenny Omega. Well, you can take out Hangman Page because the Young Bucks did ask him on the show here today if he would essentially, be their third. And he basically said, no, he's not going to be part of the tournament because he's going to be in the corner of the Dark Order. So because of that, he is not going to be partnering up with the Young Bucks. So I feel, and everybody here kind of feels that it's going to be Kenny Omega. If it's not Kenny Omega, I think a lot of us will be surprised. I am expecting this to be Kenny Omega. And as I mentioned a zillion times before, Tony Khan had said on these millions of media scrums that I was on that he was waiting for Kenny Omega to come back for him to implement the Trios Championship. And a couple weeks ago when he made the announcement, I remember talking about this then, and now it feels more of a sure thing that it is going to be Kenny Omega. So anyways, there's a possibility that we're going to be seeing Young Bucks and Kenny Omega against Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. Now, let me just start off by saying that the left side of this bracket looks very promising, whichever direction they end up going. Now, over on the right side of the bracket, you got the House of Black, who I think is a really popular pick for who the fans want to actually win the entire tournament. And they also have the Dark Order, the Trustbusters, and Best Friends. Trustbusters and Best Friends, I think, could go any direction. I would like to see Best Friends be the ones to continue on in that tournament. And I hope we do get to see House of Black. And I would go with House of Black and Best Friends on the right side of the bracket. And then Will Ospreay and Aussie Open and Young Bucks and Kenny Omega on the left side of the bracket. Now, for the team to actually win, I'm going to kind of go with the House of Black. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, it's going to be the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. I'll talk more about why I don't think it's going to be them in a while, but I'm going to go with House of Black here. Not only are they a team that a lot of people would like to see win this entire thing, but I do think that they can benefit a whole lot from it. They've been doing a lot with Brody King. They've done a lot with Malachi Black. I feel like there's just so much freaking potential there. And I'll talk more about this later on because this kind of ties into CM Punk and his return later on, which we're going to talk about later on in the show. But right now, my pick for this tournament is the House of Black. But let's go ahead and see what people are saying. Thank you so much to Roberto Arsenal, who sends in a super chat. Thank you, dude, helping out the show. Roberto says, I'd love to see Kenny Omega return and wrestle against Will Ospreay in round 2. House of Black makes it to the finals, but lose to the Young Bucks. Alrighty, that feels like a strong prediction, but I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm definitely going to say House of Black for the win. But we'll see what they end up doing there. It could be the obvious choice, or it can be, a different choice. That's the good thing about this. That's the beauty of this, is that there are multiple teams. Honestly, legitimately, like looking at this list, would I mind Death Triangle winning? No. Would I mind Will Ospreay and Aussie Open winning? No. What about Andrade, Dragon Lee, and Rush? Would I mind them winning? No. Bucks and Kenny? No. House of Black? No. Like, there are a lot of options here of teams that I would not mind winning, and I think a lot of people might feel that way because it is a very stacked bracket, I would say. So anyways, there's a lot of options here, and that's the beauty of this tournament. Anyways, but we'll talk about that more later on because I want to tie it into the CM Punk thing. A lot of different things I kind of want to connect there. But thank you so much to Roberto Arsenal for sending this in as well. All right, so let's see. Ryan Cordes says, I know it's a long shot, but I want Best Friends to win. As much as I like Best Friends, I do feel like that is a long shot for sure. We got Nika Latino 81 who says, I'm excited about Dragon Lee. I agree. I would love to see them go all the way, but given the fact that they're most likely facing Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, I have a feeling that they're not going to make it very far in the tournament. Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Where are we at now? All right. We got a promo here from Miro, and we got to tease everybody. Now, it's not the first time that Miro has mentioned, his wife, CJ Perry. Most of you guys know her as Alana. It's not the first time that he has mentioned her in previous promos. When he lost the TNT championship, he was talking about how he can't sleep with his wife anymore because she's unhappy with him and, all this and that and everything that he said during that period of time. Well, we get another promo from the Redeemer, and, he's addressing Malachi Black, and then out of nowhere, Julia Hart pops in, and she basically tells him, like, just give in to the House of Black, daddy, right? And she puts her hand on his shoulder. And he killed me. He absolutely killed me. Because he turns to the side very dramatically, right? It's supposed to be like a very serious thing. It was a very serious mood, but with a funny as hell line. He turns to the side and he goes, only one woman can touch the Redeemer. And you are not her. Bravo, Miro. Bravo. Okay. Bravo. Julia Hart coming in here, laying her hands on this married man. And he's like, no, I've howled at this. Okay. It was so freaking funny. And it was even funnier because it's supposed to be a serious segment, right? They dim the lights down. Miro's all serious. Julia Hart's like this creepy gothic girl. And so it's supposed to be very serious, but that line was hilarious. So are we going to see CJ Perry in AEW? Now, I freaking love her. I loved her in WWE because she has a lot of personality. She may not be, like the very, very best in the ring, right? Whatever. But during that period in WWE, especially like her last like year that I recall, she had a lot of improvement. Now, I know a lot of you guys are just remembering all the table spots and how many times she was put through the table by Nia Jax, because that's literally what like one of the final things that she did in WWE was. But legitimately, she did have a lot of good moments. You know, in the ring, she had a couple of good moments. She was improving. Give the girl some credit. And she just has a lot of personality, though. And that's one of the reasons why I was such a big Lana fan, was legitimately because she had a lot of personality. And I liked that. I really, really do. So if she does come into AEW, a lot of people have been wondering if and when, if she is. If she does, I will tell you, I would very much love to see her there. So I do hope that this was a more concrete tease that we may be seeing her come into AEW. So let me know. Do you guys think he just mentioned her like he's been mentioning her before? Or do you think it's actually going to happen? Let's get some thoughts in here. But in the meantime, we do have a super chat here from Murad Agami. Thank you so much to Murad Agami, who says, the Matt Jackson comment where he said Cole and his guys word. Hold on, let me reread this. Matt Jackson comment where said Cole and his guys word out there, those guys won't be here for long, made me wonder if there's any truth to that. Okay. When he said that the word out there is that those guys won't be here for long, made me wonder if there's any truth to that. I don't know, but I will tell you that I loved when Brandon Cutler was like, hey, you know, Hangman Page was talking about me, right? And they're like, shut up, Cutler. That was really good too, but we'll see, guys. We'll see. Thank you so much to Murad Agami for sending in the super chat. We have another one here from Brandon Rosen, who says, congrats again, Denise, on tying the knot. I guess this means Kenny joins the Bucks and then gets screwed by Red Dragon, leading to a feud. Can't wait. That could be a possibility as well. Could be a possibility. Now, if I see them definitely going to the finals and a huge possibility of them winning the entire thing. But I'm still going with the House of Black. But I do want to say, like, obviously with Kenny, damn it. Okay, because I want to talk about this till later on. Because obviously we need to see the Bucks and FTR. Like, that's still something that, needs to happen, obviously. And then Kenny Omega is going to tie into the CM Punk situation later on, because just say it right now, like Kenny Omega, CM Punk, like that's the money match right there. That's the match that we want to see. So, obviously they could still win the Trios Championship and still have, Kenny and CM Punk and, do their thing. But I'll explain this more later on because I want to tie this into CM Punk and I don't want to get all frazzled here. But thank you to Brandon Rosen for sending this one in as well. Okay, so this is from Cole Henderson. What's up, Cole? Cole sends in a super chat saying, welcome back, dude. The Mira promo also had me rolling. The lighting combined with the line delivery gave me some serious telenovela vibes. It kind of gave me like, yeah, definitely those telenovela vibes when you have like the super like hot muscular guy who's like, oh, so sexy, right? And then you have the chica coming in and she's like, ooh, yeah, you're right. It was literally the end. Like, just add some music, add some somewhat romantic music, and all of a sudden you got a clip for an intro of a telenovela. You're right on this, by the way. I'm seeing it now all come together. Christopher Marino sends in a super chat saying, sorry, Denise, you don't set up Hangman. Turn down the Bucks to be on the corner of Dark Order unless they meet in the finals. Miro will also cost the House of Black. Oh, I don't think so. I don't see the Dark Order going to the finals. I don't see it. I just don't see. I think this was literally a way for them just to explain why it's not, just to get people to be like, okay, it's not going to be Hangman Page and let's get excited. And this is a subtle tease for Kenny Omega to come back next week. So then people can be like, okay, we're going to tune in next week because we know, there's a huge possibility that Kenny Omega is going to come back, something like that. That's the way that I personally am seeing it. I think this was just for them saying like, it's not going to be Hangman Page and we're going to rule it out right now. But that's how I saw it. All right. Thank you so much to Christopher Marino for also sending in that super chat as well. All right. So let's get into the second match of the night. Jesus Christ, we're really in the second match. All right, so we had the Lucha Brothers versus Rush and Andrade. Now, this one here was I freaking love this match. This is my type of shit. Like, this is what I love to watch. I love this. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. And here's the thing. We literally came off of what was an exciting match with Brody King and Darby Allin, and that was a very hot opener. Things could have easily gone down a little south. People could have, maybe not been as interested in the next match, right? That could happen. But for this particular match here, though, I kind of felt like we went from like opening up the show with like peak momentum and then continuing it on and riding that momentum that the first match, gave to the show. So I really loved that this match just kept things going in a pace that felt really good. And by the time this match had ended, we were already 40 minutes into the show. And 40 minutes into the show, we had already gone in these big announcements. On top of that, we got these really good back-to-back wrestling matches. And they were, both uniquely different. So I appreciated that, but both equally entertaining, right? This was a lot of fun, man. I'm trying to see where I even want to begin. There was a funny part, and I don't know how many of you guys caught it, where Rouge, I think he told Penta, if I remember correctly, I think it was to Penta, where he looked at him, or was it Fenix? But I don't remember who it was. But he looks at him and he goes, "Para el otro lado way," because I guess he was going the wrong way, or I don't know what the hell happened. But Rouge was like, "Para el otro lado way," and it was funny as hell. So I don't know how many of you guys caught that, but that was really funny. We saw a lot of really awesome fast-paced action, both teams, busting out some really good double team action, what we were seeing there. Doing Penta hitting the backstabber on Andrade literally right after the commercial break. Casadora from the Lucha Bros to Andrade. Super kick from the Lucha Bros to Rouge. It really kept the crowd hanging in terms of anticipation and all of that. So they did a really good they did really good on that end. Both teams going over the top rope, double knees from Andrade. That was a lot of good stuff there. Cutter from Penta. We see Penta do a Canadian destroyer on Andrade on the ring apron. It was so clean, so perfectly executed. I mean, they make that stuff look easy as hell. On top of this, there was let's talk about the mask angle and what ended up happening towards the end. So Andrade ends up tying Penta mask to the rope. So he ties the knot and he gets that going. After this, both guys end up double teaming Rey Fenix. During this, Rouge ends up hitting Rey with a missile drop kick, and then I believe it was a pile driver right after that, goes for the pin, and Penta is tied to the rope. So during this, when he sees that they're about to get the 3 count, he literally like holds butt. He's like the Flash, man, and just gets the hell out of that mask. He like scoops himself out and breaks up the pin. And the way that this was done looked really cool too, because he did it so fast where you're almost like, wait, what? Did he take the whole mask with him? But because of the way that his mask is, he was able to basically get out of it because of the way that it is with the opening and all of that. So I really loved how he just like swooped on out of there and broke up the pin and then was just like covering his face up. So that was really cool in my opinion. But in the end, we did end up seeing Rouge and Andrade get the win here. So this was fun. Really just keeps the storyline going. Good match, man. Rouge hasn't had one bad match in AEW, FYI, or / and Ring of Honor too, because we also saw that Ring of Honor match. Let's get some thoughts here. How did you guys feel about this? Let's see what people are saying. This is from Daniel Brewer, who sends in a super chat saying, left side of Trios tourney is amazing. Can't wait. Can't wait. Thank you so much to Daniel Brewer for also sending in the super chats. Appreciated, man. All right, continuing on. Let's see what people are saying about this. This is from Ayo Rilaza, who says, I'm personally getting tired of them using Penta's mask against him, whether it's taking it off or tying it to something. I knew that was something that people were going to bring up, and I get it. Personally, I feel like this is done a lot, especially like in Mexico. You do see that happen like a lot of times where people, rip off the mask and this and that. So I think for me, it's like, all right, it's not for me, it works with the story that they're telling. They're keeping it going, but I could see how some people are kind of getting frustrated by it. But I thought that the way that they did it here today, it was harmless. Well, not harmless, but it was fun, and I liked the execution of it. I really did. Thank you so much for also sending in that comment as well. And my name is not Earl wants to know what that means when he said el otro lado way. He just basically said that's wrong way, go the other way. That was really funny as hell. All right, and let's go ahead and see what people are saying. This is from Dave Goldberg, who says Rush delivered a six-spinning roaring forearm like a punch under Penta's jaw. Yeah, that was good as well here. Our Riggs points out we had 3 really good matches on this episode, and I completely agree as well. All right, and let's see what else. This was from, there's so many great comments here. I'm trying to get some good ones here about this. This is from Joe, who says, I'm a fan of Rudos ripping at Mask. Yeah, it depends on the person, guys. Depends on the people and what you like. All right, moving on from this. These were the 2 best matches aside from the main event. So at the top of the show, this really were the 2 best matches. After that, we got 2 more matches that were like whatevers. Luchasaurus and Anthony Henry. That was really just a squash with Luchasaurus winning. To be honest, it wasn't very an impressive squash. So this to me wasn't really anything. But even though this was just a squash and nothing more, I didn't really care because we had already gotten 2 really good matches. And then we ended up getting that main event afterwards, which was really good. So this was just a quick win for Luchasaurus. Perfectly okay with this. I already talked about the Miro promo. I talked about it at the wrong part of the show, but we talked about it. After this, let's go ahead and get into Satnam, Sanjay, and Jay Lethal and Wardlow doing their whole thing. So, they asked for, Jay asked for another shot at the title. Wardlow says yes, and he's beating, but he says, I'm going to beat your asses here tonight. So he's walking down the ramp, and FTR's music hits. FTR comes out with Wardlow. They end up running out Satnam, Sanjay, and Jay Lethal out of the ring. And after this, you end up seeing FTR hits the big rig on Jay Lethal. So they're just continuing this. This is fine, whatever. To me, like, personally, I feel like a lot of the momentum, I don't feel like they really capitalized on the momentum that Wardlow had coming out of the whole MJF situation. I really kind of feel things have kind of stalled for Wardlow, and I don't really feel like I'm any less or more intrigued in Wardlow right now. I feel like they didn't ride I feel like they didn't capitalize on everything that was going down with him and MJF. I feel like really what kind of stalled a little bit of that was just how long we waited for Wardlow to actually become TNT champion. So personally, for me, I do kind of feel like it halted a little bit of that momentum. Like, I still like Wardlow, obviously, still a fan, but I do feel a lot of that momentum was halted. That's personally where I'm at here with this, man. Let's see what else we got here. We got people saying already fizzled. Yeah, unfortunately. So we got some people that have, different opinions on this, but man, this is from Aaron Murray, who says the segment was stupid. What was Sanjay looking for when he exited the ring? I didn't know what he was looking for, actually. Andrew Cook says the Lethal and Satnam faction has a really whatever feel about it. Involving Wardlow with them doesn't help him, excuse me. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do like all 3 guys. Like, I think, I love Sanjay Dutt's character that we've been seeing, him just really getting fired up. And, I think he does bring a lot of personality to that. Jay Lethal has been having, nonstop good matches, whatever. Satnam, as long as they don't, for the most part, he's kind of been in the background. So, no harm, no foul, right? But I don't think that this is where I would necessarily put Wardlow in this. So for me, it just kind of feels like, okay, I'm kind of just waiting for this, wave to essentially I'm just waiting for this to finish. I'm good. Like, right now, it's just whatever's, right? It's nothing more, nothing less. Joe Torres says his pencil foul. Okay, thank you. I'm pretty sure, like, he has it in his ear. That thing must fall out like every 2 steps or whatever. But honestly, yeah, this was just there for me. This wasn't anything that I necessarily was completely over the moon about. After this, we got Aaron Solo versus Ricky Starks. This was another match that was just okay. It was fine, rights and lefts from Aaron Solo and Ricky Starks. They did a good job, painting a little bit of the history between them, being a tag team, and just recapping what's been going down with Ricky Starks, with Will Hobbs turning on him, and him losing the title to Hook. This was a fine win for him, especially after losing the championship to Hook. getting him some wins. Cool. This was it. An opponent with Aaron Solo. Cool. Fine. Gets a win. Thumbs up. But there wasn't anything else for me to really discuss here. Those were the two matches on the show that weren't really nothing to talk about. But again, it was fine. I didn't think they took up too much time from the show, and it didn't take away from the show overall. So, not a problem. Not a problem. And Dave Goldberg is right, by the way. Hobbs was definitely pissed the hell off afterwards. All right. We got a backstage segment with Stokely Hathaway calling Billy Gunn grandpa ass. Tries to recruit the Gun Club. Doesn't work. It was just funny for the grandpa ass part. That was the only part that I actually held at, was just him saying grandpa ass. I don't even remember what he said afterwards. I just heard grandpa ass and I was like, haha, grandpa ass. Good stuff. My earring fell. All right, moving on from this. Before we continue on, everybody, if you are new to this show and you're like, when does Denise go live? When is she live? Well, I'm live 3 times a week here on F4W Online. On Tuesdays, I'm here to chat NXT 2.0. For those of you who are still interested in following this new version of NXT, I've got your back, man. It's like a little family there, but it's a good time. So if you want to talk about that show, if you care, feel free to come in on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is my favorite show of the week because Wednesdays is usually the day where there's just so much to talk about. And instead of feeling like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to say on the show? I feel like I have too much to say. So Wednesdays is usually a pretty good time for you guys to come in here and check out the show. On top of that, I'm here Fridays to chat Smackdown and Rampage. Fridays are wild, man. Fridays is usually a day where we got a lot of news to talk about, and it somehow gets incorporated into the podcast, obviously, because with all the storylines and everything that goes down. So Fridays is the most chill, relaxed, but also the craziest day of the week for some reason. Also, heads up, everybody. So tomorrow, WWE is holding a launch party at SoFi Stadium, and I'm freaking excited because I'm going to be there. Snoop Dogg's supposed to be there. JoJo Siwa, my favorite comedian, Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy. I freaking love that guy. I'm really excited about it, and just know if I get to interview Gabriel Iglesias, I'm low-key going to mark the hell out, all right? If I get an interview with Gabriel Iglesias, low-key, I'm going to be marking out. I might even be a little nervous. Not even going to lie to you guys. I'm a big fan of his work as a comedian. On top of that, they've announced a certain talent for the show, for the launch party, excuse me, but they tend to, there's always cards subject to change and this and that. But from what I remember of who's announced for that, Seth Rollins was announced. I think the Street Profits, Carmella, Dominic Mysterio. Forgot who else. I saw the list and I just forgot. Anyways, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there conducting interviews and tweeting and sharing whatever I can. So keep an eye out for all of that stuff. But now, let's go ahead and continue on because after this, we got the women's match between Jade Cargill and Madison Rayne. It was last week that they announced that Madison Rayne was going to be joining AEW in her new role, basically being that like Lesion? Oh my God. That person between, basically helping out the women's division and all of that, helping, mentor guys. So, oh my God, I feel so dumb. Lesion. Oh my God. Sorry. Eyes. Oh my gosh. I quit this job, guys. I quit this job. Can't speak. Liaison. Thank you. Fire me. Just fire me already, guys. Fire me. This is embarrassing. All right, moving on. Madison Rayne. So good for her. She's in this new role. I've gotten to interview Madison Rayne in the past, and she has had a very long career, has done a lot in Impact Wrestling. Good for her. I was very excited to see her name get listed on here. So good for her. Anyway, so she has this match with Jade Cargill. For the most part, was very straightforward. It was a way to get her a match on AEW. Perfectly fine. And she doesn't win. She loses to Jade Cargill. But basically, there's a moment where Kiera Hogan gets involved. Jade Cargill, she tries to distract Madison Rayne, but Jade Cargill tries to go in and do the pump kick on Madison Rayne, but instead she accidentally gets it on Kiera Hogan. And then after this, we see Madison Rayne get a roll up on Jade Cargill. And for a split second, I thought, oh my God, are they really going to have Madison Rayne pin Jade Cargill right now? Like, what the hell? So good for them, because I fell for that spot. I legitimately fell for it. But afterwards, Jade hits the Jaded. She gets the win. And after she gets the win, she gets attacked from behind by Athena. And Jade continues her winning streak, but she does get attacked by Athena. This is fine. It's fine. They've been telling this story with Athena and Jade for a bit. I still don't think that Athena should be the one to defeat Jade, but it's hard to say because we've been seeing so little of them. Like, it's a story that I feel has been told in pieces with too much time in between for me to be like, oh, I'm so invested in the story. I don't feel that way, because I do feel like there's been too much of a break in between what they've been doing. So anyways, this is fine. Jade Cargill gets another win. She continues it on. I'm wondering how far her streak's going to go. Like, what number is she going to hit? I kind of low-key want to see her hit 100, just because 100 feels like a good number, but we'll see. Anyways, good stuff there. Happy for Madison Rayne, and happy that she is going to be taking on that role that I apparently can't speak. 554K sends in a super chat saying, I know it's off topic and I have said it before, but your tweets are awesome and your sense of humor is the best and your tweets make me smile. Dude, thank you so much. It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize trying to come up with good shit to tweet is kind of hard, because you're tweeting a bunch of shows, right? And I don't want to just be like, oh, wow, that was cool. I try to think of different things to tweet. Sometimes the brain is working. Sometimes, as you can tell, it's not working. And on top of that, I also got to come up with stuff for this show as well. So it's a lot of work. I appreciate you, liking that. It's one of my favorite things. I will tell you this. When I do like ring announcing, because I mostly do ring announcing for GCW when they come to LA. Those are really the only shows that I really do ring announcing for. But I get to talk to the fans at the shows, and that's really the only time I get to actually see people. And the number one thing that I always get from people, and this also happened to me at Access when I went to WrestleMania, I ran into a bunch of people that followed me on Twitter. The number one thing they say is, who's this girl? She's hilarious. And then they end up going on my page and they end up following me. So a lot of people think I'm funny on Twitter, which I'm proud of, because that's all I've got. All right. Thank you so much to 554K for sending in this super chat. Aaron G says, reading is fundamental, Denise. Girl, I got to go back on reading on, was it reading on phonics? Was it phonics reading? Reading with phonics? You guys remember phonics? That's how I learned how to read. I learned how to read in first grade with phonics. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, too bad about the Statlander injury, because I believe that she was one to aid Jade's undefeated streak. Yeah, honestly, Chris Statlander, I feel bad, because she was that person that people wanted. I still go back to this. Like, people wanted to see her defeat Ruby Soho. What was it? Rampage? I was there. I think it was Rampage. People were like rooting for her. So I kind of feel like she got this, like, she kind of started buzzing. Like, people were like, had a buzz for Chris Statlander. And unfortunately, she was just pushed back to the shadows. And, the focus was put on Athena, making her debut into the company. And then, nothing really much else really took off for Chris Statlander on that side of things. So we're still really waiting for Chris Statlander to get her moment, which hopefully she does at some point. Thank you, Sheldon Jackson, for the super chat. All right, and let's see where we are at here. Just making sure I am. Apparently, a lot of people do remember the Hooked on Phonics. Hey, Hook is on Phonics. Yeah, a lot of people do remember this. See? Good stuff there. All right, moving on from this, let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that was announced for Rampage, and I'll go over the Dynamite lineup once again and then go into the main event and talk about CM Punk. So Rampage, Bryan Danielson returns. He's going to be speaking on Rampage. Hook is going to be speaking. Also, Swerve in Our Glory is going to be speaking. We have the Gun Club versus Bearhausen, which is going to be Danhausen and Eric Redbeard. Parker and versus Sunny Kiss, and Orange Cassidy versus Ari Daivari is going to be happening. We also have the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championship, Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello versus Dante Martin and Sky Blue. Also, Ty Conti is no longer Ty Conti. She got the name changed. Obviously, she recently got married, and it looks like she may be, obviously looking to change her name. She's now Ty Mello. AEW Dynamite lineup, which I mentioned earlier already, but really quickly, that involves the AEW World Tag Trios Championship Tournament, which we're looking to see the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, most likely Kenny Omega, against Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee. Tony Storm and Kylan King, love Kylan King, and a best two out of three falls between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. But now let's go ahead and get into this main event, guys. So this is only the second time that we've seen in a singles match Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho for the interim AEW World Championship. Now, I don't know how many of you guys were actually expecting a title change. I wasn't, but I was still expecting a pretty good match out of them. I think the things that where they checked off all the boxes here, where, you know, it's a Dynamite, right? So we got a really big main event with two big stars, Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho, one-on-one for the AEW Interim World Championship. So we obviously had reasons to care. So I feel like, and then it ended up being a really good match. The reason I feel that a lot of people probably felt that it was a good match. The people that enjoyed it, I would say a lot of it had to do with like the aggressive nature of this match. We mentioned earlier that we kind of got a bloodbath between Darby and Brody King during that Coffin match, but I would say we got even more blood with this Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho match. So this really was a bloodbath here. But I really loved the way this all played out. You know, right off the bat, Jericho and Moxley just like flipping each other off and really getting like, I hate you. I don't like you. Fuck it. Like, let's just kill each other right now. And I liked that. Obviously, we had Jericho come in with the Lionheart stuff, and that was really cool because that was incorporated into the buildup of this match with Jon Moxley saying that he doesn't want the sports entertainer Chris Jericho. He wants the Lionheart Chris Jericho. So we did get to see all of that. Instantly, we got blood right away. Jericho tore off the earring of Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley went from earring off. I blinked, and then suddenly had like a ton of blood. But one of the things I do want to put over here is the commentary from Regal, because I think Regal did a really phenomenal job at kind of explaining what bleeding does to a wrestler, what bleeding does. And I kind of really like the way that he explained all of that. I feel like it just added so much more to the match. So I did like all of this. We see them do a lot of mat work here with Jericho eventually locking in the walls of Jericho. We then see Moxley go to the top rope, gets Jericho with a couple of punches. Jericho hits the code breaker, and then we get the involvement of Sammy Guevara. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of already over Sammy Guevara getting involved in Chris Jericho's matches, but it seems to me like they're just going to keep that going because they did it again here today with Sammy throwing in that like steel bar or whatever he threw in. He throws it in. Jericho misses it, and he ends up having to go hunt for it, but the referee has her back turned, so he's able to hit Moxley in the face with it. And you think like, oh, it's going to be it here, but it wasn't. It wasn't enough for him to get the win, but whatever. Moxley ends up winning this match via submission. So it was a perfectly good match. They added a lot, and again, I just think that all the blood, all the aggression, really the aggressive nature in this match was really what got people to react. There was like, this was awesome chants and this and that. So it was good stuff there. But what we need to talk about is all the post-match stuff, because this is where I think we have to really talk. Post-match stuff, we end up seeing Sammy and Jake Hager come in and attack Jon Moxley. So of course, Jon Moxley's guys, Yuta, Kingston, and Claudio, run in to have his back and even out the numbers. Then we have the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society coming out, and it's a brawl. And I'm looking at the clock, and I think we had like 4 minutes left on the show, and I'm like, something's got to happen. They're not going to give 4 minutes to a brawl. Like usually these types of brawls, they end and you get to see like a minute of it, and the show closes out and you see all the guys brawling, and that's how things end, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm like, something's got to happen. But I will tell you this, I was completely surprised when it ended up being CM Punk. I was not expecting it to be CM Punk here tonight. I will tell you that I was legitimately surprised by this. And when CM Punk came out, I thought, holy shit, he's back already? What? Okay, so let's rewind a little bit. June 1st is that Los Angeles show the following week, CM Punk basically announces, like, he's hurt, he's injured, and he's going to be, out of action for a bit. And, he doesn't know for how long, this and that. Immediately, he wasn't going to be at Forbidden Door. Immediately after that, we, find out that there's going to be an interim AEW World Championship. Then we had that whole Lollapalooza go down. We all know how the story plays out afterwards. Jon Moxley is your new AEW Interim World Champion. So CM Punk comes out, confronts Jon Moxley, because we knew that this was going to happen. The second that CM Punk came back, he was going to obviously, confront the interim champion, which is Jon Moxley. Now, I will tell you this, like, he was gone for about a month and a half, 2 months, right? And I feel like he came back really fast, to the point, and I get it because they had Forbidden Door and all of that, but he came back so fast that I almost feel that they should have never had an interim AEW World Champion. Like, I almost feel like it wasn't even needed, where they could have still had him as champion and worked up like a number one contender for CM Punk. And I get why they did it and all of that, but I almost feel like it wasn't needed given how fast CM Punk came back, because a lot of us really didn't know when exactly, or how long CM Punk was really going to be out for. It wasn't even until like really late that we even found out the details of what CM Punk was dealing with, because that was kind of kept a little hush-hush there. We knew it was the foot stuff, but there wasn't anything much more to that for a good period of time. So a lot of people didn't really know what kind of assumptions to make as to when CM Punk would actually be coming back. So him coming back tonight was surprising. Him getting in the face of Jon Moxley was like, hell yeah, here we go. So that all leads me to, where are they going to go here? So I feel, given the fact that CM Punk had just won the title, and unfortunately he had to relinquish the title, well, not relinquish the title, but basically not be your AEW World Champion, to the point where we needed the interim champion. So, he had to let that go. And so that, obviously really sucked for CM Punk, and it sucked for everybody that was looking forward to his reign, right? So CM Punk is gone. He's gone out of the picture. Him coming back now, I'm wondering, are they going to immediately give back CM Punk the championship and kind of be like, okay, let's go back to where we left off, go back to where we were supposed to be, and go back to those plans? Or are they going to try not to make it so predictable and go a different direction and maybe have Jon Moxley win? I don't know, because obviously the predictable decision is to have CM Punk defeat Jon Moxley, get his title back, and pick up where we left off from. Or are we going to go an entirely different direction and have Jon Moxley win? I don't know. I wonder if they're going to try to throw us in a swerve, or what's going to happen. I have no idea. Personally, and this ties back into what I was talking about earlier with the Trios Championship. So the reason why I don't think Young Bucks and Kenny are going to win is because my prediction is that we're going to have the House of Black win. That was the first thing. The other thing is that the money match, as I mentioned earlier, is CM Punk, Kenny Omega. People want to see that. So I do want to see CM Punk defeat Jon Moxley, get his title back, so that they can work up to Kenny Omega and CM Punk. Now they do have some time, so you can still see, the Young Bucks and Kenny win the Trios Championship. And obviously, he can have multiple bouts, obviously, as we've seen before. But I also don't want to see the trio. If Kenny Omega, let's just say Kenny Omega defeats CM Punk, he becomes champion, I don't want to see those Trios Championships essentially be like, in the back burner, right? Like, not be the most important championship. So that's kind of where I was thinking. And I just feel like you could go a certain direction where we want to see FTR and the Young Bucks. They can do that. Kenny Omega can go do his business with CM Punk, and they can do that, right? So that's why I didn't really feel like it's super necessary to have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega as Trios champions. Like, I feel that's cool for like the history books and just them having them be the first. I feel like that's cool, but I just feel like it would benefit so much more to have another team, again, like the House of Black, actually win, or whatever other team they would want to win, because I do think like it would add so much more, and they kind of needed a little bit more. So that's where I'm at on all of this. I am expecting them to put the belt back on CM Punk. That does feel like the direction that they should most likely go in, especially because, come on, we literally didn't get to really enjoy him as a champion whatsoever. We didn't get to enjoy him as a champion. So I do want to eventually see that. Anyways, let's get some thoughts here. Do you think they're going to go the predictable route, or do you think that they're going to go in a different route? What are your predictions? Let's see what people are saying. This is from Nick Grasso, sent in a super chat saying, does Jon Moxley bleed every match? I guess he's the new Ric Flair in that regard. It's too much with the blood on these shows. Oh man, I get your opinion. I get it, but you're talking to the wrong person here. I love the blood. Jon Moxley, I think for the most part has bled in like almost every last match that I can think of. I'm sure there's probably like one where he did it, but for the majority of it, it seems like he's bleeding all these matches. But so was Hangman Page when he was champion. He was like bleeding up a storm at this point. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But, to each their own. Thank you so much to Nick Grasso for sending in this super chat as well. We got people saying that CM Punk coming back was right now was definitely a shock. Midrunner says, if Kenny or MJF didn't return, it had to be Punk tonight. Well, it's looking like it's going to be Kenny next week. And let's get some more comments here. This is from Layton, who says, didn't put out the rumors last week that he'd be out longer. And let's get some more thoughts in here. This one's from Sam, who says, yeah, I was not expecting CM Punk back. Kept watching his footwork to see if there was any ginger walk. And thank you for mentioning that, because that was one of the things that CM Punk made sure to do. He was like those little kids that were like, look, I'm going to do something. And he starts like dancing around. He even hops on his leg, kind of basically showing the people he's fine. His leg works. He's good to go. So that was kind of funny that he did make sure to do that as well. And let's go through a couple more here and see what people are saying about this. This is from Turley Time, who says, I'm assuming they were airing him on being out for a while. Look at Kenny. Yeah, that's true too. Like, they didn't know how long he was going to be out for. We just didn't know. So I get why they did it. But now in hindsight, I'm like, did they really need an interim AEW world champion for a month and a half, 2 months? Maybe not. But again, that's in hindsight. We don't know what they were thinking about or dealing with during that point. And then also keep in mind that they were heading into Forbidden Door during all of that. And let's see what else we got here and see what people are saying about this. This is from Fernando, who says, I was so excited to see CM Punk, and I agree with you, Denise, the time he was out was not worth an interim champion here. And we got a bunch of different comments here. This one's from 554K, who says, the CM Punk return was awesome, and the Mox was 10 out of 10. I think the story of how CM Punk never lost the title and that Mox does not like being the only AEW champion is a great story. All right, let's get some more comments in here. And this is from Can't Stop the Kittens, who says, whatever's going on with the Bucks, it's got to get some freaking momentum soon. Their segments are painful and drag on and on and on. I like their segments because I like their little chemistry with Brandon Cutler. I think that kind of makes it pretty fun. Jay Honcho says the main event for tonight was a fucking banger, regardless that the title didn't change. I love the match. I'm a total mark for bloodbath matches. Love the Punk that Punk received. Oh, hell yeah. Especially because so many people, including myself, were definitely not expecting it. So imagine how the live crowd actually felt. We got a super chat here from William Pichon. Thank you, PitchCon. Thank you so much to William for sending this in. He says, there's the MJF angle with Punk being champion. Dude, I don't expect to see MJF back right now. Like, I just don't expect, I don't know when. I just don't expect it right now. And I almost feel like with CM Punk coming back and with, the assumption that Kenny Omega's coming back, they definitely got the star power. I know a lot of people are wondering because, the MJF thing is a little, it's a little different situation than Kenny Omega and CM Punk, but I just don't know when that's going to be. I have no idea. So it's really, really hard to say. Really, really hard to say. Thank you so much to William, though, for sending in this super chat as well. All right, so let's go ahead and see what else people are saying. Jay says it's funny watching Mox flip people off. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's actually pretty fun. 554K sends in a super chat saying, my typing is bad. I never proofread. My bad. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You didn't even have to send in a super chat to say that, but thank you either way. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I think I got caught up with everything here. If you do want to send in any last and final thoughts, go ahead and get them in before I wrap up this show. But before I go, just last remarks. Good show here today. Really, really enjoyed it. If you didn't catch today's show, at least watch those 3 matches that we spoke about. The Coffin match, the tag team match, and the main event were definitely worth watching. And we did get a lot of news coming out of this video, out of this show. And we kind of gave us a lot of things to look forward to. So overall, good stuff. On top of that, guys, I will be back here on Friday to talk SmackDown and Rampage. If you did enjoy the show, please give this video a like. You can also leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because you can check out the podcast there as well. If you're not a video person and you just want to listen on audio, you definitely can. Just search up Speak Now Pro Wrestling and you can find the audio versions and leave a nice review so more people can actually find the podcast. Other than that, leave a comment here on YouTube following the video. Help get that algorithm to promote this show. And I will see you guys back here on Friday. And if not, I'll see you guys back here once again next week for Dynamite. Thank you guys so much as always. Enjoy your night. Bye, everyone.